Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at a GT4 race. It's actually my first race in the Camaro. We're actually going around the Nurburing GP. I've got Liam in this race as well, and we actually didn't qualify, so we're starting in 13th. But with this, it's a mixed race, so you get GT3s and GT4s. So, in the GT4 class, we're actually starting in 9th. And we're going to see how we do. Running the Camaro today. Bit of a crazy livery on it, I know. Got to get that chrome paint on, you know this. And running for the R4M factory team. Big shout out to Super GT. And you wouldn't be an R4M enthusiast unless you practice your epic tyre warming skills, as you can see going on here. So, this was, I think, the day after the new update came out. So I was trying out a couple of cars. This is actually the first time in the Camaro. First race, didn't get to quali, so first lap. And let's just see how it goes. So, Nurburing, T1. It's always going to be madness. You know this. Long straight, sharp hairpin, then a left, then another left. So we'll just see how we do. Try and slot in. Oh, made a little move on the Porsche on the inside line. I like to hug the inside as we go. The Lambo's had a bit of a moment there. Cut back across right, and then it looks like he didn't realise I was where I was. I think he thought he was a little bit further ahead. So let's go back and have a look actually. Get the exterior replay camera. Everyone jostling for position at the front here. I think I brake a little bit later than the Porsche. Try and hold the inside, like I say. Less chance of death if you're on the inside line. Don't get those cars sliding out into you. And see exactly what happened to the Lambo. So Lambo already had a collision, so he's gone to the right. I'm on the inside, he cuts in a tad, and that's a battle you're never going to win. Lambo versus Camaro, I know which car I would rather be in. So, luckily now, I think we've actually moved up quite a few spots since that. And perhaps in the GT4s we might even be in 2nd, believe it or not, from 9th. Anything can happen T1 in the Nürburgring, like I was saying before. Now this Porsche behind me, it's another GT4 car, and he is actually pretty quick as well. You can see him in the mirrors. He's just pulled up onto the left, so he's going to be on the outside line for the next corner unless he actually makes it past. It looks like he's just edged past, but a little too late on the brakes. Maybe the cold tyres, maybe the cold brakes, I'm not too sure. But it's allowed me to just slink by again. And we're sitting behind the Mercedes now. I believe he's in first in the GT4s at the moment. So P2 through the Schumacher S's. Not too bad at all. And we're going to have to let a couple of the GT3 cars go by. They can be much later on the brakes, much better aero than these GT4s. I meant GT3. And you can actually see them. It'll just disappear into the distance. But we're not going to worry about that because that's a different class of cars. All we're going to do is try to make sure that we don't ruin their race, and in turn hopefully they don't ruin ours as well. Now I believe it's a 15 lap race. Let another GT3 go by there, the Ferrari, running a similar livery. Into the chicane, and if you actually saw, the Porsche had come off back on that straight a little piece into the sand. But like I say, that Porsche driver is phenomenally quick, and I'm still getting used to the car. I think this is first lap, so you guys are all seeing, you should hopefully see some progression during this race as well. Porsche looks like he's going to move to the inside. It's a bit too early in the race to take any defensive lines now, so I kind of let him in. I realise he might be a bit quicker than me around here, so I thought I'll just try and slip into his slipstream and follow him round. Nice clean overtake by him. And we're going to hunt down K Jego in the Mercedes. Not too far in front, only about a couple of seconds. Might be doable. So these GT4 class cars anyway, guys. I'm finding so far, now I've done a few more races on them, they're actually make for a lot closer racing. They're a little bit slower. They move about a little bit more on the track. Makes it quite a lot of fun actually. But generally, if you get the really quick guys in the GT3s, they're gone. A little bit more easy to deal with in the GT4s. Gives us scrubs a little bit of a better chance of staying with some of these quicker guys. So on the way up to the Schumacher S now. In the Camaro, it's a little bit wobbly, I'm not going to lie through here. Not so bad once you're touching the curbs though. The actual suspension that works really well. But the car, as you can imagine, is just a bit big. You can't get as late on some of the brakes as you would like. But you really do have the power on the straights to let it go. So the Porsche slept behind the Mercedes now, already gaining on him, and I'm hopefully just hanging on a little piece now. Into the chicane. Now my tactic for this, brake round about between the 100 and the 50 mark, ride the curbs as much as possible, come out onto that left hand curb there, which should then give you a nice line, hug the barrier into this last right hander before the start finish straight. And then you just let the Camaro do its thing with its power. Well, you'd hope it does its thing with its power. I don't understand that Porsche is flying. I think he's getting a much better exit speed. So now the Porsche and the Mercedes. The Porsche's actually got a cutback on the Mercedes. He went defensive, but looks like he ran a little too wide to try and stop the Porsche getting through on the inside there. Porsche now up into first, Mercedes second, and myself up in third. Like I say, close racing. If you look in the mirrors, you can just see a KTM coming up behind, and I believe behind him is actually an Aston as well. Few seconds in between all of these top 5 GT4 cars, and that's all it is. Unfortunately, I think Liam got caught up in some of the madness on the first lap. I'm going to leave a link to his channel in the description so you guys can check him out. We race quite regularly together now, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So if you guys are wondering, what I'm using at the moment is the T300 with the, I think it's the open wheeler steering wheel, basically the same kind of wheel that you're seeing in this GT4 car. I do enjoy it for Assetto Corsa Competizione. It's a great wheel. Obviously they're much the better ones on the market at the moment, but for the price point, it's a really good starter wheel to get kind of into it. And being able to change the wheel and have a little bit of a bigger diameter really does help. I was on the T150 about 6 months ago. I think I got the T3PA Pro pedals, the ones that you can mount invertedly. Having a little bit of issues with the clutch at the moment, so I'm actually running no clutch and just in the semi-auto, which is throwing me off a little bit. But got in contact with Thrustmaster, and they're looking at helping me sort the problem out. So fingers crossed that all goes well. So I've been away from YouTube for a few weeks now. Got a little bit busy on my normal job at work. Obviously with the whole corona going on as well. It's not been so good. Hopefully England's getting back into it now though. I heard some places maybe going back into lockdown, so stay safe out there guys. Remember, wear your masks. Don't sneeze on people. I think they're the main ones. And now it's getting a little bit tighter now. One of the things I do love about Assetto Corsa Competizione is this day-night cycle. I mean, look how gorgeous it looks as it starts to turn into night now. Just hitting the dusk period. You can see that KTM all over my back bumper, mate. I did try out the KTM as well. I've only tried out a few of these GT4 cars so far. The KTM, if you want to talk about lift-off oversteer, try the KTM. As soon as you get off of that throttle, the back end just wants to rotate instantly. Found it quite difficult to drive around here and was a good second or two slower. Nice little exterior shot now, so you can actually see how close this racing really is. The 5 of the GT4 cars, the top 5, all within about 2 seconds. We'll ignore the Porsche and then say that, the other 4 cars are actually within a second. I get a better exit on that corner now. Pulling up to the Mercedes just behind, he goes a little bit defensive into the Schumacher SS, which slows me down a piece and gives the KTM a chance to actually get side by side. I'm going to try and hold the outside line in this, hopefully brake a little bit later and just not really let the KTM run a bit wide. He gets a little bit of a nudge from the Aston from behind. I brake a little later, being able to hold the inside line, but don't get a good exit on the corner. I'm just hoping for the Camaro's superior straight line speed now to pull up alongside the KTM, and I've just about made it. The Aston falls in behind the KTM, and it's all about braking now. I'm a little bit late on the brakes, Almost ran a little bit wide into the chicane, but managed to pull the spot back from the KTM. Aston still sitting in 5th there. Now the Mercedes is doing alright with this pressure on him. I'm sure in his mirrors you can see these 3 GT4s coming up behind him, but he's not really making too many errors. This time I decided to go defensive into T1. With 2 cars behind me, I don't want them both to get the undercut on me, or get the take the inside line and basically just drive away. Managed to hold it tight, give myself the outside for this next corner, and gives me the chance to just cut across the KTM there. That KTM around the corners is rapid, by the way. It's all about now trying to catch up to that Mercedes and put a car in between me and the KTM, because I'm feeling some serious pressure. As the night goes on, I believe the track temperature gets a little cooler actually, and means it's a little bit more difficult to hold some of these corners at speed. You've got to adjust some of the braking points, allow for the tyres to be cooling down a little piece, and you're not actually going to be as quick. Minutely, but still working on it as well. So the Porsche is still holding a good gap from the Mercedes. He seems to be pulling her out about half a second a lap, maybe a little piece more. To Schumacher S's, ride that right hand curb, get onto the left hand curb, and then try and power her out. Don't really drop a gear, just keep it in the same gear, lift off, no braking, and then power as you get into the second section of it. These 2 corners are probably my most difficult on this track. The left and the right, different cambers on each corner, making it very difficult if you don't get it right. Now, I've actually gained a little piece on the Mercedes here. The night's getting darker. I'm going to go into the cinematic camera and up into the chicane. Like I say, braking just between the 100 and the 50. Try and ride those curbs, and it looks like the Mercedes has had a bit of an issue and wasn't able to actually use the maximum of the track, giving me the space to go through on the inside. Hopefully keep the power down onto the start-finish straight, and we're up into 2nd, lads. Look at that trail of 4 cars there. The pressure is now on, guys. I've got the Mercedes that I know is pretty quick, and that KTM that I'm worried about as well. Done the best lap of a 207.2 so far. That was that last lap. Can be quicker because there was obviously still some traffic. There was an overtake on there. The Mercedes actually gone wide, and the KTM has managed to slide through there. I think there was a little bit of nudging as well, if you want to have a look back there. So now it's, like I was saying, KTM's the one I'm really feeling the pressure from there. I got a bit of a better exit on that corner, so it manages to pull away a little bit on the straight. Now, I'm looking at trying to catch the Porsche, but I believe unless he makes an error, it's not going to go so well for me. Back onto the straight, KTM full in my mirrors. And I think now we're pretty much in the dead of night. I'm one of those guys that likes to run with his lights on full beam for the whole race, day, night, or whatever the situation. KTM caught me a little bit there, I lost a little bit of speed. Let's see if I can pull away in the Schumacher S's. Power out on the second one, trying not to touch the gravel. Still trying to learn the torque factor of this car as well. I'm running it right up to the red line. Oh, made a bit of an error there. Having to defend the inside line. Try and cut back across a little piece. Try and stop the KTM from getting alongside me. Luckily back onto the straight, which is where the Camaro excels. Couple of nice straights on this course. Slowly pulling away from him. Braking between the 100 and the 150 again. Riding those curves. Just trying to get the power down as quickly as possible. Bit of snap oversteer there. Had to correct it. Like I say, feeling the pressure from that KTM. Smoothly back onto the accelerator, onto the start-finish straight, and we've actually pulled a little piece away from him again. I don't think he's within move to make a dive. So what we're going to do is just take our normal line, brake around the 100 mark. Oh, we've gone a little bit deep actually. Trying to get back onto the accelerator, and how close is he? It's okay, it looks like he's actually battling with the Aston back there, so it's given us a bit of breathing room. The Aston, if you heard, like I said, about me being the guy that turns my lights on full, The Aston is the type of guy that likes to flash you as soon as he gets behind you. You might have seen it earlier in the race when we were in the cinematic camera. A little bit of breathing room now. Porsche isn't pulling that far ahead of us. Like I say, maybe only half a second, if that, per lap. It's giving us the chance to just try and keep him within sight so we don't lose any confidence on this way around. So around about now, I'm actually getting used to how the Camaro's moving. I'm pushing my braking points a little piece. It's weird with these GT4 cars, or at least with the Camaro, I find first gear doesn't seem to be very useful on a lot of the tracks. I tried out the Ginetta recently, and if you guys know this simulator at all, the worst track I could have tried it on was Monza. Now I didn't know that it actually tops out 149 miles per hour on the straight. Luckily for me though, it's a great car in the corners, and I actually managed to get first. It was going to be second, but the leader actually thought he finished the race a lap early, pulled over on the start line, and I went by with a big smile on my face, knowing that first was in the bag. I think that was a nice one actually. It was almost from the last to first challenge. I didn't really qualify on it, so I didn't really realise that the Ginetta topped out on the straights of Monza. Great car though, has a beautiful sound to it, and the gear changes sound gorgeous. A little bit slidey coming out that last corner, and it looks like the Aston has actually been able to take the KTM. Got a best lap, still of the 207.2, didn't really improve on that last lap, because they're just trying to figure this car out a little piece. She's a bit boaty in some of the corners, opposite to the Ginetta in all honesty, but seems quite forgiving. You can really feel the car go, and it gives you plenty of time to correct the oversteer before anything too bad actually happens. So we're in the helicopter cam now, watching a bit of the KTM and the Aston battle. The Aston's actually pulled it back a little piece towards me. Looks like I thought I had a better exit on that corner, but it doesn't really look like I pulled too much ahead. KTM having a look, but doesn't really seem like he's going to be able to get past the Aston just yet. Needs to pull it in a little bit closer. The Aston's slowly pulling close to me. Look, there he is with his light flashing. Trying to put some pressure on the guy ahead. I get it. But it's not really a tactic that I use. It's either that or he just hates the chrome green livery. I mean, I can understand that as well. He's gained a little bit of time towards the Schumacher S's. Put the power down a little piece more, coming up to my two least favourite corners now. It's always a difficult one for me, whether it's second or third. Sometimes I like to let it roll through in the higher gear, just to keep the car's balance a little bit better. Sometimes dropping it down into second feels like it just shifts it a little bit too far forward as it hits the engine braking. And it looks actually like the Mercedes has dropped off quite a piece, K-Jego. It seems like he's had an incident somewhere and he's actually 16 seconds behind. I'm about 3.3 seconds behind the Porsche, and then the Aston and the KTM within a second of ourselves. Coming up towards the line, I managed to just defend after I had a bit of an incident on the last chicane there. And it is a second for me. That was a bit of a difficult one on the end there. Thought it was going to go, but managed to hold the left-hand line and managed to save it in the end there. It was a bit cheeky pulling across to the Aston, but hey ho, that's racing. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Hope you're all doing well. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.